Hey guys, Wayne Voles here, Profits Unlimited. Glad everybody's here, and I'm looking forward to sharing some good ideas with you today on how we can all make our companies more successful, more profitable. And if you have any questions on any of this, feel free to find our Facebook page, Profits Unlimited, and be happy to answer any questions you got. You can also reach me on my email at Wayne Voles, V-O-L-Z, the number 01 at gmail.com. Feel free to email me at any time. I'll answer any questions that you have. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here for keeping up to date with all of our new podcast and YouTube videos that we got coming out that certainly will help your company grow and be more successful and more profitable. Just earlier this week, I was in Evansville, Indiana, doing a seminar, and I want to share that with you just for a minute because it's really neat. This dealer is a very unique type of dealer. He actually has a full service lawn and landscaping business, as well as being a full service equipment dealer. So what Rick does out there, he has two things he has to accomplish. He not only has to build a successful lawn and landscaping business like he has, but he also has to convince the commercial landscapers in his area there, and he draws from the 3 states there, Illinois, Kentucky, and Indiana, that why they should buy from him, being a direct competitor. And that's something maybe we're going to talk about, how much we worry about competition sometimes. But what we can do, and what Rick has done over the past 25 years of hosting what he calls Pro Cutter University, is he's invited us down to come talk once a year at his open house. And I wanted to share some of the evaluations from some of the guys that were just there this week. And I share them with you, not to pat myself on the back, but just to let you know that, just because you've been in business 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it may be, however old your business may be, that we all need to be receptive to some ideas. And here's one of the evaluations that I'd just like to share with you quickly. This particular gentleman's not been in business a long time, but 6 years, has 11 employees. And his comment down here, we always ask, what's something you learned today? And he said, this seminar gets better every year. And I think that's a powerful statement for sure when you get a comment from a guy that's been in business that length of time. Another one here, we got this particular Forever Green, Cindy Michael there. I've always been right to sign up for your seminars, Wayne. It's always very interesting and informative. You always keep our attention. And that's a person that's been in business for 20 years. So again, I share that with you, not to toot my own horn, but to let you know that being a commercial lawn and landscape business myself, I just don't talk the talk. I walk the walk every day with you guys. I understand, what you're going through. Another one here, a guy's been in business 23 years. This is David Wargle. He says, very good. I learned a lot of new things today. I certainly learned that I need to have a different outlook and attitude. We get a little complacent sometimes. So I think it's all information that's very informative for us. This guy here, Stapleton Lawn Care, says, Rick, just keep Wayne coming back. Everything's good. I've been coming for 18 years, and he's why I come. So, and I'm not going to bore you guys to death with all these, but the message is similar. And I share those with you just because I think it's important that that it's a valid message that we're bringing here. Last but not least here, this is Don Brown and Associates Landscaping, 20 years in business. And he says, don't change anything, Wayne, about your presentation. I learn something all the time, and I certainly appreciate the 4 P's to success that you shared with us today. And the 4 P's to success is going to be what I'm going to talk about for a few minutes today, is how we can not break our company down into 4 P's, but for the sake of time today, that's how we're going to break it down. And we're going to talk about passion, professionalism, purpose, and profit. And first, let's look at passion. Are you passionate about your company? I know you're thinking out there, well, of course I'm passionate about my company. That's why I do it. That's why I have my own business. But I think it's easy to talk about passion, but the reality of it is sometimes we get a little bit complacent And we can be passionate about it in front of our peers, maybe. But do you always have the passion and the drive to be number one? Because that's what it takes. What are you doing to position your company to be successful, to be profitable, and to be number one? Because, contrary to a lot of public thinking now, second place isn't the right place for anybody. There's no participation trophies when you own your own company. Nobody cares if your company fails or succeeds. Matter of fact, your competitors are probably glad to see you go. And statistically, across North America as a whole, we as an industry fail. And it's not because we don't care or we're not trying. It's just sometimes that passion is lacking. So we got to be very passionate about what we do and how we do it within our companies. Some of that passion leads us into, I'm passionate about the work, but man, I just hate the sales side of the business. I hate to be, I'm not a salesman. I think what we all got to remember is with a small company, and most of us start that way as a one truck operation, okay? The smaller your company is, the more hats you're going to wear. And one of those hats that you're going to have to put on, and we'll put our sales hat on for a minute. We'll just all act like we're putting our sales hat on, right? But we are salesmen. It's great to like to cut grass. It's great to like to plant bushes. It's great to like to fertilize lawns. It's great to do everything else other than sales. But we got the reality of we got to treat ourselves and know that we are salesmen. And we'll certainly have another video and many videos down the road on selling. But one thing I want you to take away from this video today on selling that I was taught by my father, who I respected tremendously. I hated the training he put me through when he was teaching me how to sell, starting from the time I was 18 years old and probably 17 years old realistically. He asked me one day, he says, Wayne, he said, what's the most important thing in selling? And I gave him every reason in the world other than the one he was looking for. That it's the relationship, it's doing what you tell people you're going to do. I had all these reasons that I thought were the right answers. And the reason I respect his answer to this so much is because this man, he was never involved in a lawn and landscape business till 1990 when he retired from his previous employment. But what he did, he was involved in sales his entire life, working for Fortune 500 companies, training their salespeople all over the world, basically. And so I respect his knowledge. And I didn't respect it at 18 and 19 and 20 years old and 30 years old. But as I got older and saw what he was trying to teach me is why it made sense when he asked me, Wayne, what's the most important thing in selling? And I had all these reasons about doing the job right and caring about your customers and this and that. But they really weren't the right answer. And finally I said, Dad, what is the right answer? What is the most important thing in selling? And he just quite honestly told me, Wayne, he said, the most important thing in selling is you got to sell yourself first. And I didn't understand that at first. And I think that's something where being a salesman, like you are and I am, we've got to understand that if we're not convinced that what we have to offer is different and better than our competitor, we've lost the battle and we'll never win the war. It's just that simple. You've got to know what you do different and better than your competitor and be able to convey that message to your potential client to be successful and to remain passionate about what you do. And he said, Wayne, there's two other questions you got to answer for your customer. First thing you got to do is sell yourself. But he said, people make selling way too hard. He said, there's two questions that have to be answered for any buyer. I said, what's that, Dad? And he made me take some guesses again. And I started taking a few guesses. And of course, they were all wrong. They were good answers. They just weren't the right answer of what he was looking for. He said, Wayne, here's the two things you got to remember in selling. Once you sell yourself, The next two questions that you answer for your customer is number one, what's in it for them? And number two, how can they pay for it? The what's in it for them is the perceived value. What are you doing to create perceived value for your services or your products that you're selling to your potential clients? Because think about it, we all buy based on perceived value, what we think we're going to get out of something. So if we want to be compensated and paid as a professional service, we've got to create the perceived value of a professional service. And once we create that perceived value, the next question we have to answer for our customers is, how can they pay for it? How can they pay for it? What are you doing to make it easy for your customers to buy from you? Not just, okay, I've mowed your lawn, give me $35 or $50 or $100 or whatever it is you're charging, or no, well, the landscape's done, give me half of it up front and half of it when we're done. How many times don't we hear a price objection in this industry or any industry? And that's a lot of money. That's too high. What are you doing to make it easy for your customer to buy? Are you giving them some options? So if we understand that the three most important things in selling is to, first of all, you got to sell yourself. Secondly, create perceived value. And the third thing, what are you doing to make it easy for your customers to buy or pay for your services? We'll talk much more about that in future videos and podcasts, and that will help you sell more jobs, close more sales, and be more profitable. But those three things lead and help all of us with the passion and the drive that we're going to have with our companies. The next P to success, in my opinion, is professionalism. And what's professionalism? Let's pause for a minute and just think about it. In your mind, what do you perceive as being professional? What is professionalism? Guys tell me all the time at seminars when we're talking about professionalism, the first thing anybody wants to bring up is, well, professionalism, man, we keep our trucks clean. That's very important, without a doubt. Image is important. But there's a million things that go into professionalism, right? I think we can all agree to that. Professionalism, oversimplified, is everything that you do on a daily basis from the time you get up in the morning till the time you go to work, complete your job, go back home, invoicing your customers, calling your customers. It's everything you do on a daily basis with the interaction you have physically with your customers and the interaction you have with your customers that you don't even think about you driving down the street with the name on the side of your truck. You know, are your clothes clean? How do you answer the telephone? Are you answering the telephone with a smile on your face? You know, professionalism is a million things, and we'll break that down in a separate podcast and YouTube video for you guys, where we just talk about the little things that we got to do. That goes back to old Vince Lombardi, the Green Bay Packers football coach. Most of you guys are probably familiar with him, or at least heard of him. But that's what he always said to his professional players. Gentlemen, we have got to do the little things better than our competitors. He actually walked into football practice every day. I read this in his book, holding a football. And he'd say, gentlemen, this is a football. And he said, I know they thought that I was insulting their intelligence with that, because they were professional football players. They knew what a football was. He says, but the point I was trying to get across is we got to do the little things different and better than our competitors. And that's what your professionalism is. It's the little things that we can do different and better than our competitors doing them, to show our customers that, hey, we're creating that perceived value. And when we create that perceived value, they're willing to pay a professional price for it. But if you're out there running around, how many of you guys haven't seen your competition out there mowing with their shirt sleeves cut off or cut down the sides or with no shirts on at all. And then they're wondering why they're not making any money. We can't cry about not making any money if we're not looking professional. We got to be professional. We got to look professional. We got to act professional. We got to communicate professionally. It's everything we do. So we got to be more professional about how we do it. The third P to success, in my opinion, is the purpose. What's the purpose of our companies? Let's think about that for a second. What's the purpose of your company? The purpose of my company? I'm just going to throw some names out here, but let's just say it's John Deere, Skag, Ferris, Echo, Shindawa, Stihl, whoever it is in the manufacturing world, of all the equipment, different types of equipment that we use. Caterpillar, Bobcat, doesn't matter whose it is. But what's the purpose of all those companies? The purpose of those companies is to make a profit. That's it. Too many times when I'm talking to people, whether it's a seminar or consulting, I'll ask them, what's the main driving force for you? Well, I'm passionate, Wayne, about what we do, man. I'm just really passionate about it. I understand that. That's great. Passion's important. We just talked about it. But what's the main purpose? The main purpose of our business is to make a profit. The purpose of our business, we're not doing this because we like it. It's fine to like what you do. But I can tell you I've been on both sides of that. Excuse me for a second. I've been on both sides of that, of working hard, not making any money, and not knowing the real purpose of my business, even though I thought I understood it. And the side of making some decent profit dollars. And I can tell you what, it's a whole lot more fun out there mowing lawns and trimming hedges and putting mulch down and building retaining walls and putting pavers in and doing all those things that we do, snow and ice management for our customers. It's a whole lot more fun when we understand the purpose and we're making some good profit dollars at it. So always keep focus on the purpose. And the last P is profit. Talk a few minutes about that. Because each of these individual P's that we've talked about, the passion, professionalism, purpose, and profit, are going to be topics for upcoming videos. But I think we put these together for a few minutes and talk about them quickly here today. Just since we're coming into the time of the year, and it doesn't matter if it's spring or summer or fall or winter, you can think about these 4 P's to success and ask yourself, how can they help me right now? And what you're going to see is each one of those 4 P's to success will make sense at any time you're sitting at home or out driving in your truck, or you start scratching your head and you're thinking about, man, I need to do some things differently. That's what we need to think about, is those 4 P's. And I'll tell you where we got lost with the profit side, the 4th P that we're talking about right now, is we really didn't understand what profit was. We started our company in 1979, our lawn and landscape business. By 1987, had myself $90,000 in debt as a 2-truck operation, thinking we needed more work. At that time we were doing over $300,000 a year in gross dollars, and trust me, they were gross dollars, because we were working our tail off and not making a nickel. We were spending $310. So, I share that story with you because it amazes me how many times guys want to come up to me at seminars or call me or send me an email and say, well, Wayne, we're doing $500,000 a year, or we're doing $3 million a year, or we're doing $5 million a year. And I ask them, what'd you keep? And that's when they stop, just like I stopped. Well, probably not enough, or none, or I'm still struggling. That's why you got to understand profit. Understand the purpose. Understand profit. And before we can understand profit, we got to understand the difference between 3 things. And those 3 things are cost, markup, and profit, and how each of those three things are calculated. You know, a lot of times people want to get into a very convoluted explanation of that, but it's really simple. Calculate what it costs you to do the job, not what your competitor's charging, not what your client says they're willing to pay for the job, but what's it really cost you to put your truck and trailer in front of somebody's house, to mow a lawn, to spray a lawn, to do a landscape, to do a retaining wall? Have you calculated that cost, or that where's your break even for your company? And that's where most companies go bad. That's where we went bad. That's where we were off. You've got to understand how to calculate cost per hour of operation. If you're not 100% sure and using a methodology to do that now, let us help you with that. Let somebody help you with that. You owe it to yourself. It goes back to the purpose. The purpose is to make a profit. We can't make a profit unless we understand what the costs are. And then from cost, we got to think about markup. How much do we want to mark that up? And, you know, let's just say, for an example, let's keep this simple for the sake of time today in explanation, but we'll certainly address it later on much more in depth. Let's just say it costs you $35 to mow a residential lawn that's 5,000 square feet, let's say, to mow it, trim it, and blow it. Doesn't matter if you're in Boise, Idaho, Maine, Sarasota, Florida, Dallas, Texas. Let's just say that that's the right cost to mow that lawn when you stop. That's your cost. You think, well, all right, I'm going to charge $45 for it. I'm going to profit $10. In your mind, you're thinking, okay, I've profited $10. To calculate, just remember this, and this is easy to remember, that markup's based on cost, profit's based on selling price. It's just that simple. Okay? So just because, I think it cost me $35, I'm going to charge $45, I made $10 profit. Well, when you start doing the math on that, that's technically not right. You know, you got a $10 difference between cost and selling price, but that's not a $10 profit. Okay? You look at that, that's a 29% markup, but it's a 22% profit. You say, well, that's only 7%. That's only 7%. Let's just look back a minute at some of the major equipment manufacturers that I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to mention them all again, but let's just throw a few out there. Ferris, John Deere, Skag, Exmark, Stihl, Shindaiwa, whoever it may be. Do you think they sit back and say, it's only 7%? Do you think they sit back and say it's only 7%? And I'm not saying that $35 is anybody's cost that's watching this video. I'm just saying you owe it to yourself and your company to understand what your costs are so you can appropriately mark it up to get to the desired profit margin that you want and you deserve for your time, your effort, and the talents that you have. Because remember, guys and ladies, profit is not a dirty word. Profit is what you're getting back for all the blood, sweat, tears, time, effort, everything that you put in to making your company successful. And by not knowing the difference between cost, markup, and profit is why the failure rates for our industry are so high. Don't let yourself be that statistic. Understand why you charge what you charge, and let the 4 P's to success: passion, professionalism, purpose, and profit be the driving force to your company. Hope everybody picked up a couple little things as a takeaway to help your company be more successful, more profitable. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up to date. We got a lot of new things coming out that we share at our seminars. I understand you guys may not always have a chance to get to a seminar that we're doing. Okay? but you certainly have a chance when you're in your truck driving from job to job, or you're sitting at home. You've got time to get on our YouTube channel, check out what's new, listen to a podcast, and let Profits Unlimited and Wayne Vose help your company be more successful and more profitable. See you next time.